So now we just have to connect these two pieces together in such a way that they can be molded, and that's not going to be all that difficult to do. It just takes a little bit of thinking beforehand to make sure that you're making everything in a way that will work in a two-part mold. So I'm going to go to my right plane and create a sketch to start with, and we're going to sketch the profile of a rib that's going to connect these two together. So I'm just going to draw, I don't know, something like so, and I'm just kind of faking this into place. Just something that looks about the way I want it to be. And it's not constrained really in pretty much any way. And in fact, as I rotate this around, you'll see that it's way off, and that's okay. I'm just going to take this point now, control-click this edge, and give that a pierce relationship so that this point pierces that three-dimensional curve coming through it. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom here. Make sure we get a really nice connection down here so we go all the way across. Our screw holes aren't in the way. We're going to be alternating between the screw holes, so that won't matter. On the other end, I've found that there's a little bit of a bug. You would think that I would connect this, with another pierce relationship right here to this curve. But actually, I'm going to cheat this a little bit. I'm going to bring it beyond that, all the way in here, just because I've found that I'm having some tolerancing issues in the space between. So I'm going to draw a point right here on this curve, and then give that point a pierce relationship with that three-dimensional curve. And that's going to allow my curve to extend up into this body a little bit. And that's going to help make sure that when we combine these pieces together, they're all going to fit nicely. So I'm going to make another point here. Let's throw another point out here and make it also pierce this three-dimensional curve. I'll make this back edge coincident with that. Then I can drag this up above a little bit. And what I want to do actually is draw a construction line, a center line, between this point and that one. And then make these two parallel with the Make Parallel command. And then I can just set a height here. It doesn't have to be anything particular, but just to lock this down, I'm going to give it a 1 millimeter height. And the whole point of this, once again, is just to make sure that this rib extends up into this piece of plastic. Otherwise, things may not work as well as we'd like. I can make this side parallel with that as well. Let's just make that parallel. And then this other piece, I don't know, I'm just going to eyeball the rest of this, because the rest of this is just kind of arbitrary. It doesn't matter. We can deal with that with the engineers. So now we'll go to the features, and I'll do a revolved boss. And under the revolved boss, first of all, in axis of revolution, let's choose our center axis. And we're not going to come all the way around. Let's just do, I don't know, 15 degrees. I'm just making that up. And under blind, I'll change that to mid-plane, so we're going straight across the middle. And actually, I'm sorry. Let's go back and make that 10 degrees. I'm eyeballing this as I go. That looks fine, and I'm not going to merge result just yet. Let's just turn that off and hit OK. We're going to merge this manually in a minute. Now, first of all, this back face is not quite coincident with this front face. So what I'll do is go to my Direct Editing tab. Let's grab the Move Face command and this bottom face, and I'm just going to reverse that offset by clicking Flip Direction. And we'll go up by, I don't know, 2 millimeters or something, and hit OK. And this part is pretty much moldable at the moment, although we have an extremely thick wall thickness here. So I'd like to hollow this out. Let's right-click this and come down to Isolate, just so we're just looking at this part on our screen. Then we'll head over to our Features tab and over to the Shell command. Then I can pick all of the faces that I want to get rid of when I'm doing the shell operation, and then set this to a 1.5 millimeter shell. Now this is 1.5 millimeters, not 3, and that's because we are connecting with a piece of 3 millimeter geometry. And when you connect ribs to a piece of geometry, you typically want those to be half the wall thickness of what it's connecting to. And that'll help keep sink marks and stuff from happening in your final part. We'll exit this and we end up with our rib. Let's exit isolate mode and bring back everything else. And all of this now is fitting together really nicely, and this should work for us. So let's see if we can merge this together. I'll go to my Direct Editing tab, go to Combine, and we'll make sure that our operation type is set to Add, and then select the 3 bodies we want to combine and hit OK. And it looks like it has succeeded. We now have a part that is perfect. It's exactly what we want. So before we do that combine, let's jump back in time before the combine, now that we know that it works. We'll go up to our patterning tools and drop those down. Let's do a circular pattern. Under bodies to pattern, I'm going to choose this one right here. Under the parameters, we have an axis of revolution, a pattern axis. We'll choose that center axis. Once again, make sure that we get the axis itself and not that sketch center line, so we avoid that bug that's keeping it from working properly. We're going to do 8 instances of this, evenly spaced across 360 degrees, and hit OK. Now we have all of those ribs in place. We can bring back our combine feature. And this time, let's edit that combine feature and also add in all of these other parts to it. So everything gets added all at once, one clean, simple operation. We now have a bracket that works. Let's assign a color to this once again. We had that color in here before. I'm going to go back in time and find this part. Let's go to the Appearances tab. Click on View Appearances. I'll select this guy and right-click it. Let's copy that appearance. Then we'll go forward in time. We can go back up here to our solid bodies, right-click. We can go back up here to our solid bodies, right-click on that final solid body, and we should have an icon here for Paste Appearance, and it'll paste that purple appearance to that final body. We can close this up, save it, and back in our final assembly, we can now see this bracket working in the context of our assembly. There's only one more piece that we need to do to finalize this, and that's that this nose cone overlaps our bracket a little bit. So let's edit this nose cone in context. Just click Edit Part right there. And then come up to our Direct Editing tab and over to the Move Face command. Come in here. I'm going to right-click and say Select Other. That should let me select the face that I want, and I want the front nose right there. Hit OK. I'm going to flip the direction of that. We'll go in by 3 millimeters, the exact thickness of our color hit there. Hit OK. Exit that part. And now everything fits together perfectly. We are in good shape, folks. Let's move on.